Hello and welcome to the NDTV Dialogues, a conversation of ideas. This week, of course, it's been 1 year since the demonetization dhamaka. Anti-black money, black day, the rhetoric goes back and forth. But we try to go beyond that in this dialogue. Joining us is Dr. Sujit Bhalla, member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, also Shaurya Doval, director of the India Foundation, a prominent think tank, of course, with many senior cabinet ministers as its advisors. I'm also joined by Sushmita Deb, head of the Mahila Congress, Lok Sabha MP. Also with me, Ashutosh of AAP. And joining me from Mumbai is Mahesh Vyas, Managing Director and CEO of the Centre for Monitoring the Indian Economy. Thank you all very much for joining us. Dr. Bhalla, as I said, we've seen the rhetoric back and forth. You've written an article this week praising demonetization and what you think have been the benefits of it and haven't been analyzed properly. Just if you had to look at the biggest hit and the biggest miss, because as an economist, you know that both are true.
Well, it's a good question about the biggest miss. And I think I can say in the future what the biggest miss would be if demonetization was not able to increase tax compliance. For me, that is the sine qua non of demonetization. So if that weren't to happen and continue to happen, it's already happened to a fair degree, but let us say for some reason tax compliance, we go back to our old-fashioned ways, then I think it would be a big miss. And in my view, demonetization could be termed accurately as a failure. To date, we have evidence for 1 year post-demonetization. We have evidence for tax compliance till October, and it's looking shockingly good. That is, there's a genuine increase. Remember, just to explain it very simply, the tax compliance has to do with how much of the income you collect as taxes. Okay? As it happens, last year, the income growth has been one of the lowest in nominal terms. This is not real terms, not complicated. It's simple. What is the current income and the growth in that current income? No calculations of inflation are needed. Indeed, more inflation is there, more the tax revenue will go up.
Right.
Okay. And so we have had at 7.9% one of the lowest income growths in the last 20 years. It's the 6th lowest actually. So despite that low growth, and the government had budgeted, and all of us at ND, when we covered the budget, it said that the income growth would be 11.8%. The 11.8% was the budgeted growth, expected growth,
and it's
7.9. Despite that, the tax revenue collected from personal income tax and corporation income tax is exactly now equal to what was budgeted. 15.6% was budgeted, and the data just came out till October, it was 15.3.
Shaurya Doval, if you could come in on that, because we've seen the numbers spun so many ways around depending on which political party or ideology it's coming from, and of course the income growth dropping would be something that the opposition pick up. But of course, interestingly, again, we've heard another prominent economist, the ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, just this week talk in Surat and talk about the fact that 21,000 jobs were lost in Surat alone. So in the sense being that we seem to shift the goalposts of what demonetization is meant to have achieved constantly. Now it's 1 year later, we hear some ministers, Jayant Sinha, who's of course part of India Foundation as well, describing it as a miracle. You've heard Ravi Shankar Prasad saying, look at this, even flesh trade has come down. What do you, as somebody who runs a private fund as well, what to you is the big gain? Was it worth the pain?
So first, the examples that you cited, let's put them in context, right? I mean, Dr. Manmohan Singh, when he was speaking in Gujarat, he was in the midst of an election campaign. What did you expect him? What else do you expect him to say? But it was a
political speech, to be fair. He talked also. He praised the Prime Minister as Chief Minister who had come out and supported GST. He did talk of facts.
So I'm saying, by and large, you've got to sort of keep this in context. Of when you're citing the sort of the political debate around it. The way I look at it, since you asked me that, how do I look at it both as a practitioner and as well as somebody who sort of watches policy from a distance. See, I look at it
not from a distance, because that's the ministers are actually.
We can have a separate debate on that. Sure, yeah. But
No, but closely involved, let's say.
But the way I look at it is that there were three elements to this. There was definitely a political element to it, which to me was actually the most powerful one, which is a political signal to the country and to the world at large that we are serious about fighting the malaise of corruption. This was in one of the many steps that this government has taken. So whether it was the black money bill or GST or things like that, but this was, at least in my recent history, I cannot see any political leader come out with such a decisive political signal. And by the way, we won't dwell on it, but signaling is a very, very important factor in politics. Actually, in the destinies of countries, that's how nations move. So there was a political signal that we are going to fight the scourge of black money, and we are very serious about it. So there was the political aspect of it. There was aspect of it which was the economic aspect of it, which Dr. Bhalla mentioned, which was trying to improve the income tax catchment area or improve effectively the tax to the GDP ratio. Now the jury on that is still going to be out, but as you mentioned, there are signals that are driving that in that direction. And finally, there was this desire to move India towards a more cashless economy. And Nandan, and he is no cheerleader for this government, has actually come out recently in this, I think, the same day as you,
with the BHIM app, the record
which
numbers.
is saying that this has been one of the biggest movements in India's move towards a cashless economy. So I think if I sort of rate them or rank them in this order of their significance, then I think, of course, the political signal definitely has been very well received. And I think by and large there is consensus. I mean, and there is only way, as I told you in our last debate, that we will continue to evaluate these at the hustings, whether the political signal is being well received. In terms of the economic movement, we will see data.
I just want to bring in Sushmita on that, because in fact, yes, we are last time before the UP elections, and if nothing else, as you had said, the UP elections will be a referendum, and they were in a sense of demonetization. Sushmita, they've come in on that. This is a political signal which comes rarely, say, in the course of a nation. It's almost a turning point in this nation's political history, as Shaurya Dawar puts it. Do you buy that argument, that in that sense, the most potent political signal was that forget the numbers, this is the Prime Minister acting against corruption?
See, as a politician, we can't deny the fact that Prime Minister Modi got a historical mandate. There was a huge amount of trust in him. And on 8th of November, when he announced that the currency was going to be demonetized, and he set out the reasons for it, people believed him. People believed him. And I think that the instant impact of demonetization was not felt very quickly, because people thought we are going through some pain, but there are going to be some benefit. So the instant pitfalls of demonetization, no one reacted to it, because the narrative was Desh Bhakti, this is nationalism. But I have to say that as time goes on, and we've completed 1 year, I have to say that what has unfolded in the unorganized sector and the agricultural sector, when it comes to jobs, it's very easy for us to sit in a studio and discuss it. But if you were to go out there, there is a huge section of people who have suffered. Some of the damage we'll recover, like Mr. Bhalla said, but some of the damage that happened because of demonetization is you cannot roll back on it.
But should we, let me bring in Ashutosh on that, because the people who we say are suffering are the people who are in a sense voting for the BJP. So let's see how these two elections now do as well. But Ashutosh, the BJP, the Prime Minister established as the crusader against corruption. I mean, Arvind Kejriwal once had that image, and in fact, originally he supported demonetization as well. Why has that changed? And do you think in that sense the BJP has stolen a march on the Aam Aadmi Party? Do you see it as the party without corruption, or the fighting against corruption?
See, Sonia, first of all, if a learned minister like Ravi Shankar Prasad, if he says the success of demonetization can be measured by the decline in the prostitution, that itself shows the frustration of the government. Why we are talking about the cashless economy? On the day 8th November, 8 p.m, Mr. Prime Minister, while talking about the demonetization, has mentioned 4 things. 1, it will lead to decline in the terrorism, decline in the fake currency, decline in the drugs, and the decline into the black money. Now, if the success and the failure of the demonetization has to be monitored on these 4 parameters, because that was the aim and objective of the demonetization.
Not really. You can have other benefits and losses which you can emerge.
Let me complete. I will go by the Prime Minister. I will not go by what Mr. Bhalla is saying or what Mr. Arun Jaitley is saying, because it is he who on the national television channels at 8 p.m. has announced this. That was the prime objective. What has happened to the black money? You spent 21,000 crores and you got only 16,000 crores. 99% the money has come back. What happened to the black money? Is it a smart governance or a smart business? I do not know. What happened to the terrorism? Terrorism in the Kashmir in the last 1 year is on the rise. Every day, our own soldiers
but
are dying.
Naxal violence is down.
The fake currency.
Naxal violence has come down.
500 crores, estimated 500 crores fake currency. What at that point of time? How much we have recovered? 47.9 crores. What happened to the rest? And what about the drug market? Now the people are changing goalpost because demonetization has completely failed and exposed Mr. Narendra Modi.
But you're not answering the question on corruption. Do you feel that in that sense the Prime Minister had sent out a signal which was a strong one, which is almost say perhaps
what signal?
No, you are. You tell me what you think.
What signal? The black money of the BJP leaders has become white. Otherwise, there is no reason that 99% of the money is coming back into the system. I'm asking, I'm asking this question today here, that please, if at all you want to test the success of this, test on these four, whether the terrorism has declined, whether the fake currency has declined, whether the drug has declined, or whether the black money has declined. On all these four parameters, Mr. Modi has failed completely.
I'm going to come back on that point, but I want to bring in Mahesh Vyas, really the independent voice in a sense on this. Just looking at the numbers, as I began by asking Professor Bhalla, the big hit and the big miss. The big miss and what has created much debate is the latest report by the CMIE, Mr. Vyas, which points to the fact that 1.5 million jobs lost in these latest months. Now, the jury is out on whether you can actually look at blaming this on demonetization or not. Ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh would. Surjit Bhalla has pointed out that you not looked at this as year on year. What is your take? Cutting through, as I said, the rhetoric, what would you say is the reality on demonetization's impact on jobs?
Well, we measure employment. We measure unemployment and employment together, and we have seen a decline in people employed in January, April 2017 compared to how many people are employed in September, December 2016. We have seen this decline continue during the May-August period when another nearly 500,000 jobs were lost, or there was a decline in the number of people employed. Now, I have good reason to, I have kind of a reason to believe that at least some of this loss is because of demonetization. In the preceding rounds, we have seen persistently employment to increase. So from April 2016, when we go to the next round, May, August 2016, there was an increase. There was an increase further in September, December 2016. So in each of the three rounds that we did surveys in 2016, we did see an increase. But then there was a decline sequentially in the people employed in Jan, April, and May, August. We continue to see small declines in employment even in the September, December 2017 survey.
Right.
So this seems to suggest, and this is no proof, but this seems to suggest that demonetization did impact employment. There are anecdotal evidences to add up to this as well. We have seen so many surveys done by media companies showing that there are job losses in industrial towns. So if you take that and this data into consideration, I think there is some merit to say that demonetization did play a role in the fall in employment, and therefore there were job losses because of that. I would not say that all these job losses are because of demonetization, because we have to do a seasonal adjustment. Surjit has done a year-on-year comparison and has found that there is an increase in jobs. But a year-on-year comparison is, like he says, it is comparing likes with likes, but that is still not seasonally adjusted. For seasonal adjustment, we require a longer time series to know what the trend factor is, what the seasonal factor is, and what the random factor is. We are a far distance, we are a distance from there to make those estimations because the time series is too short as yet.